Hey, it's Jacob. Welcome to this new video. And today I want to talk about the level of sophistication in a product. And if you're a really beginner, a very beginner, then you might have that problem. You might feel like there things that you see are very sophisticated and that you need to learn a lot of things in order to get started, in order to move forward and learn, like, basically, if you want to create an AI, you need to learn like the linear algebra, you need to learn algorithms, you need to learn data science, you need to learn matrix multiplications, you need to learn programming, you need to learn Python. I mean, there are just too many things to learn, and it's like, why do you need to know all of that, right? Like, this seems like it's a lot of things that we need to know in order to just create like the first little thing, right? Your own little product, not necessarily something very crazy, but like just to get you started. People tell you, well, first learn that, and it's a little bit counter. You might feel like it's a little bit counterproductive to do that because like you don't even know if that's how to apply those things or what you are going to want to do. So basically here, this is, I just want to do this video in order to show you that this is not necessarily your fault, that you think that this is the things that need to be learned. It's just that how the engineering process also works. There is something we need to understand about the engineering process, and this is basically like the reason why you have all of those things you need to learn, right? Like that stems from the way engineers work, and this has nothing to do with actual results, but it has more to do with like politics and like companies, how companies work. And you, if you are just someone that is not an engineer, but or isn't technical, or isn't working for somebody else, then you need to do things a little bit differently, because for you it's going to be counterproductive to do those things in order to, so that the boss is going to look at you in a different way, or because you don't have a boss, right? So you don't need to do that. So let me explain a little bit how the engineering process works. So let's say this is just the base. I'm simplifying massively, but it's just so that you understand how that works. And this is a document called the requirements. So that is done by people that want you to do things, right? Of course, like people that are paying you as an engineer, they are writing the requirements here. And let's say you have two engineers here. You have one here and another one. So those two engineers are gonna work. Let's just simplify things and say this one is going to work on that part of the requirements, and this other engineer is going to work on this other part, right? Now, what happens if, like, you need to follow the requirements, like, you're strictly, like, those requirements are fixed and only that person can modify them. And so what happens if one decides to do something different, right? Different from the requirements here, because that person has like an idea and wants to implement it. Well, what's going to end up happening is you're gonna have a bug. So anything that goes away from the requirement is going to be considered, a bug, is going to be considered as an error, right? So that is just the way things work, because you're not supposed to invent new things or do things differently because you want that person to be in charge of that. So that's just how the process works. What are the consequences of that now? So let me clear that up. And also, if you want to be part of my contact and stay in touch, you can click on the link in the description, and I'll give you free exclusive content. I regularly like publish content. If you want to access, if you want to keep in touch, like, you can do that. So now, what are the consequences of having like this type of process? Let me take like the engineer again. Well, the engineer is going to sometimes want to do things a little bit differently. Like, you can't just take away all creativity to one person, right? Because then how are you going to make the difference between those two people? Those are going to be exactly the same. And it's like, yeah, sure, that's true. That's what a job is. But like as an engineer, sometimes you feel like, well, I want to do things a little bit differently. So what are the consequences of that? And that's when like sophistication comes in. And that is the main things. Sophistication. That is one of the main things that you really need to understand here is the level of sophistication is because of that frustration. So if you feel like things are complicated, if you feel like there are tons of things that you don't need, it's probably true. And it's like this is not necessarily something that is dumb. That is not dumb, but like the level of sophistication has a point to it. There is a point to it. But the point, you need to understand the point so that you don't make the mistake of doing it for yourself when you don't need it. And the point is, in order to differentiate yourself with other engineers, right? Why am I saying that? Because if you are alone and if you are not an engineer, or if you don't need to differentiate yourself in the implementation, but you only care about like the results, you want the results here, then that level of sophistication is not needed. You absolutely don't need that, because that's not the point. The point of sophistication is not to get to the results. It is to get differentiated. So that's just how a company works, right? This is not good or bad. That's just how it works. And if you feel like, if you've seen people like talking about that level of sophistication, and they have that framework in mind, right? They have their framework, and they have probably worked like with a company, or they haven't like created products for themselves usually. That's when they are talking about levels of sophistication like that. And so that's basically the reason why we need to be very careful. And we can, like, if we understand that, then there is you can go 10 times faster, because you don't have a conflict of interest where you basically make the results more difficult to get because you want to have a level of sophistication. Like, you can get directly to the results without having to learn all of those things that are very sophisticated. And it's actually usually like even more, you get better results by doing that when your only focus is about results. If you're a manager, maybe you felt like you've seen a lot of engineers doing a lot of weird things that you didn't care about. And that's the reason why. That's because like you want to differentiate yourself. So again, like this is really something that we need to keep in mind if we don't want to, get lost in the jargon or in the complicated vocabulary that is not needed. And if we just want to get to the result, then then you don't need to spend like years and years and years to learn or to get an AI programming degree, or you don't need to know all of those things, right? Those are not needed. If you want to be part of my contact, you can click on the link in the description and you get free content from me. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.